right about here along I-40. That's moving up toward the north, paralleling the interstate, continuing to head up to the north. Weakens as it gets close to the radar site, and it becomes ill-defined and broadened, and we're thinking, okay, that's the end of it. And then it moves over Garner, it's ill-defined, and then it starts to come back together. And it's at this point here that a wall cloud has been spotted over near Capitol Boulevard and the Beltline. And so the Weather Service issues a tornado warning. You can see the well-defined couplet, and then it moves up to the north, and we still see what's going on right now at 6:02, moving over Falls Lake. And Kat's standing by with a storm track to show what communities will be impacted between now and 6:30. Kat?
We still have about 30 minutes to go in this tornado warning. The thing is, the storm is moving pretty slowly at just 20 miles per hour, so it takes a while to move out. Let's take a look at the storm track with some communities here. Creedmoor, 6:26. You've got just over 20 minutes to get into your safe place and seek shelter. For the Butner community, about 30 minutes from now, as well as Lyons at 6:32. The Hester community, you're not currently in the tornado warning, but if it holds together, here's the timing for some other communities nearby. Hester, 6:36. Stem, 6:43. Shoofly, 6:47. And Colbreth, 6:55. Bohema at 6:48. So we are going to be seeing those communities down the line eventually be impacted by this rotating storm. I want to take a closer look and go street level. We're using the dual Doppler 5000 radar right now, and I wanted to point this out because we have the only dual pole radar in Wake County, and that's really useful during these tropical tornado warnings because these are typically really low cloud heights. So we need a really low scan of the atmosphere, and it's very beneficial to get that low scan of the atmosphere using the dual Doppler 5000 radar just because of the nature of these tropical tornadoes. So if we zoom into street level and where we've got some of the rotation right now, it's right around the Creedmoor Road area. We talked about Creedmoor Road earlier being at risk, the intersection of Creedmoor Road here, and we can zoom in even more. And that is the Falls Lake outline right there. So it's really right over Creedmoor Road over Falls Lake. As we move forward in time, the Redwood community, you'll be kind of on the west side of the rotation. We are going to switch over to the velocity here, and we'll get a better view of the rotation within the storm. So let's zoom back in here and use the velocity. This is where we've got the rotation. Mike Mays has been telling you about this for a while now. Moving away from the radar and toward the radar. It's a very small couplet, but it's not terribly strong, the winds within this couplet here of where we've got the rotation. It's centered right over Creedmoor Road at Falls Lake. But as we move forward in time, this is tracking to the north. So we really need to move to the northwest and start calling out some of these roads and these communities to give folks that live on these roads time to prepare. So Cheek Road, Olive Grove, Church Road, those are some areas that are likely to see the rotation pass overhead. Witt Road, Old Weaver Trail, we've mentioned that road before. Creedmoor Road, still, you know, you're just kind of running parallel at this point to where we've got the storm tracking. Cash Road, Mums Road, and Highway 15 up to the south side of town in Creedmoor. That will eventually include Dove Road there. So that's the general direction that this is going to be headed. If I draw on the map here, here's where the rotation is right now. This is going to be headed up in this direction. So coming pretty close to the Creedmoor community. And right now, the tornado warning it's just on the line there of I-85 in Johnston, or excuse me, not in Johnston County, in Granville County and in Durham County. So if you are driving along I-85 in Granville County, south of Stem, or in Durham County over into Granville County, and you're listening to us on Mix 101.5. You're just on the edge of the tornado warning right now. You need to be on alert as we could see this get extended, given that we've seen the rotation within this cell hold together since before 4 o'clock today. As Mike Mays mentioned, you know, we've been following this cell all the way from southern Johnston County through Wake County, and now as it moves into Granville County. We've got a live look right now at Durham. So Durham, you can see the dark sky, the dark clouds, the lowering clouds in the distance. And this is over Falls Lake right now. Durham, part of Durham County is in the tornado warning right now, but if you are watching from the city of Durham, I do want to let you know you are not in the tornado warning. Same with Wake County. If you are watching from Raleigh, you are not in the tornado warning. It is the northern part of Wake County, just over Falls Lake, where we've got that rotation. And you know, I had mentioned this before, but often when you see these rotating storms passing over bodies of water, sometimes they can strengthen. We've seen things like that happen with Jordan Lake. We've seen things like that happen near Lake Norman before, even up toward Lake Gaston. So that is concerning as it moves over this body of water. That's Falls Lake, that it could kind of come together. It could help it strengthen a little bit. But Creedmoor is really going to be the next larger town that's likely to be impacted by this rotating storm. I do want to show you a wide view of Wake County as a whole and just let folks know in Wake County, reassure you, the direction that this storm is moving, it is moving to the north. So I'm going to draw on the map for you here in a second. It is moving to the north, coming close to Creedmoor in Wake County right in here. We do have some rain falling, but nothing severe at this point. And meteorologist Mike Mays and myself, we've both been looking at the other storm cells across our viewing area, and those are not showing any signs of rotation like this one in northern Wake County over Falls Lake is. We've also been keeping a very close eye on the debris detector using the dual pole radar scans. I've been watching while Mike Mays has been on air. He's been watching while I've been on air, and we have not seen any signs of debris, which is good news for us. We've got a lot to watch, and we'll continue to monitor this storm over the next 20 minutes as it continues to move to the north. Gerald and Deborah.
All right, thank you, Kat. Towards Deborah 9, first time you've seen us this half hour. We have comprehensive coverage of not only Hurricane Helene, but all of the weather that's happening now before we see the effects of Hurricane Helene tonight and into tomorrow afternoon. Brian is in the live center. Brian, you've got some menacing clouds in the northern Wake County area.
These pictures you're about to see were taken on 540 as that storm passed through there. Pictures from Zach Steffi, and you can see that's a scary looking cloud there in the distance. Zach says that he didn't see anything touch down, but certainly saw a lot of rotation in the clouds, and that matches up with what radar indicated earlier, seeing the rotation, a fairly broad area at times, but at other times it would tighten up to a pretty tight couplet there on the radar, indicating that things were spinning around pretty quickly up above the ground. But we've had no reports of any damage at this point. But certainly, if you're on 540 earlier and you got that tornado warning listening to us on Mix 101.5 and you see that, you're going to slow down and pay attention.
No doubt about that. Brian is a meteorologist as well, so he knows what to look for when it comes to those menacing clouds. So does meteorologist Mike Mays, and you are in the Severe Weather Center now as we continue to track this tornado warning in Durham County. At least it's in a less populated area right now.
Yeah, and this is until 6:30, and a new update that just came in from the Weather Service, now moving north at 15 miles per hour. So the forward motion has slowed just a bit. So that's the latest update that we have. Here it is at 6:09, and this expires at 6:30. Here is the wide view, and as Kat just mentioned a moment ago, we've been scanning the radar, looking at the rotation, and don't see any other rotation center showing up in any of the cells you see over southwestern Wake County, near Apex and New Hill. There's some activity over or near Rocky Mount and northern Wilson County. None of this is showing signs of rotation. That's certainly good news. The only rotation we're seeing is now over northern Wake County into Durham County and southern Granville County. And we're going to watch to see if this warning gets extended farther to the north, because boy, this thing has made its way from northern Sampson County around 3 o'clock to where it is right now at 6:10 this evening. And I believe this is only the beginning. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of activity overnight per what we're seeing on high resolution models. At 5 o'clock, I was showing Futurecast, and there's a bit of a lull, say from about midnight through about 4 or 5 a.m. And then we see the main batch of Helene come through. I believe that's when we're going to have the greatest threats. That's when we're going to have the potential for more flash flooding. Winds could gust up to 45 miles per hour in the bands, and also there will be embedded tornadoes. And we could see many tornado warnings during the first part of the day tomorrow. We're thinking the time period would roughly be around 5 a.m. in our southern counties. That includes Richmond County, Scotland County, Robeson County. Height of the activity here in the Triangle, probably 8, 9, 10 o'clock. And then in our eastern counties as we go to 11, 12, 1 p.m. It's likely to be a very busy morning. Brian had mentioned school closures in the 5 o'clock newscast. I'm sure he'll be going through those again at some point between now and hopefully by the end of this newscast. So some schools have closed because of the threat of bad weather in the morning. And then later in the afternoon, that line moves out and should be quiet at the end of the day and into the evening for all the activities we have coming up tomorrow evening. We've got bluegrass, we've got mule days, we've got a lot of stuff going on. High school football, college football on Saturday looks good, and any outdoor activities looks good over the weekend. So with that being said, let's go back and see street level what's going on. Now it looks like the greatest rotation, the worst part of the storm, is over Durham County. You can see that's where the heaviest rain is along Highway 50, which we also call Creedmoor Road. And we jump over to the velocities, and there is the couplet not looking well defined. We're seeing a whole lot less green, so the raindrops moving toward the radar site have really decreased in coverage, but the reds indicate the raindrops moving away from the radar site. So still, it's this general area here that is seeing the rotation. So let's zoom in a little bit closer to give you an idea what roads, and this here is Falls Lake. See, it extends all through this area. So right now the rotation is heading over a really not highly populated area, but it is moving over the lake. And we zoom in even a little bit more. No roads are showing up really because there's the lake area. And we head farther to the north, and then we start to see some Creedmoor Road and Lighthouse Trail, Sandy Plains Road. That's where some of the communities start to pick back up. The Cheek Road area, Redwood community, and then farther north, Dove Road, Northside Road, and there's an extension of Dove Road off of Creedmoor Road. So it's heading, as Deb mentioned, a not highly populated area. That's certainly good news. And it is not showing itself being as well defined. Let's go back in time, and you can see how the couplet, a little better defined. There was a whole lot more green, which are the raindrops moving toward the radar site, and then it just starts to fade away. So my hunch is, as of right now, if this persists, that the tornado warning will probably end at 6:30, maybe canceled before. So we have to wait a few more scans to see if that ends up being the case. And Kat is saying,
Canceling it momentarily.
okay, Kat said
Yep, they just canceled.
they just canceled the tornado warning. So yes, it does not look bad. The tornado warning has been canceled. So again, let me just go over the radar view. There's the heavy rain, and there is the rain well in advance of Helene. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to toss back to Gerald and Deborah. Let me get some moment, and I'll put together what we're going to show with Helene and where it is and where it's going.
All right, Mike, thank you.
I feel like a big breath we can all take right now, at least for this first round.
We can exhale now. We're going to take a quick break and come back with more of our coverage of the storm activity that's going on in our area right now. We'll be right back. Back now on this WRAL Weather Alert Day. As we mentioned, the worst part of this hurricane is going to be felt in the western part of the state, and that includes Asheville.
Yeah, hard to believe that the storm has not made landfall yet. All of this rain heading before the storm, and in the next 24 hours, it could be even worse. WRAL's Sean Gallagher drove about 250 miles to Asheville to be able to bring us the story from there as they start getting ready for the worst of Helene. Sean?
Yeah, Deb and Gerald, the Swannanoa River is just there behind me over that bridge, and they are expecting it to flood almost as high as me. That's why the owner of this historic building here is battening down the hatches, plywood, sandbags, all of this preparing for the worst.
You know, of course, I'm scared. I mean, honestly, more for the tenants and what it means for Biltmore Village and for the damage that it will do.
David Ross remembers the last big flood here, 4 feet of water all around. This should be 2 feet higher, but he feels confident this historic building will survive the storm.
Confident, I guess, in my ability to be able to rebuild and, keep it going. I mean, this is Mother Nature. We don't get, unfortunately, we have no control over Mother Nature. All we can do is the best we can to protect, right? And then basically hope for the best.
So it's easy to understand why David Ross is taking these precautions. The National Weather Service says that this could have a greater impact than Fred, Francis, or Ivan. Landslides are capable of taking out roads and even buildings like this. So take your own precautions. Don't go out if you don't have to. And of course, if you see some water, do not drive in it. Turn around. Don't drown. Sean Gallagher, WRAL News in Biltmore Village.
Boy, that's an area we have all been to, so we can picture what it's like being there, and we hope the best for them. Thanks, Sean.
As we mentioned, the worst effects are going to be felt for us in the early morning hours. Meteorologist Mike Mays back in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. Mike, tell us how this is going to begin tomorrow morning.
Well, this is Futurecast, and our high-resolution model is pretty much showing the same kind of timing, that the worst part of Helene makes its way here in the morning, lasting through early afternoon. So I was going to run through this pretty much hour by hour. And just to note, through the night, Asheville will see some of the worst conditions where Sean is. Not all that bad right now. The winds haven't even picked up. When you combine the winds with the rain, you're going to see more trees come down, power go out. There are folks online messaging me on Facebook, hey, I plan to go to Asheville tomorrow. Please don't, and please check with us tomorrow and even into Saturday to see how safe it is to go into this region, because there could be widespread tree damage. There could be historic flooding. We don't want you to go there because it may not be safe to venture into that neighborhood just yet. So keep tuning in. We'll let you know what's happening. So tomorrow morning at 5 a.m., we see the leading edge of what's with Helene coming into the area. Now, this is the time period we'll see winds gusting up to 45 miles per hour, where we could see flash flooding. Also, the tornado threats here. So be aware of that. Embedded in this line, there could be tornado warnings. Likewise at 9 o'clock. And you can see how widespread the heavy rain is going to be. That continues to spread to the north and east by 11 a.m., still encompassing a lot of the area. The Sandhills at this point should be okay. Southern Pines, Pinehurst, you guys are out of it by 11 a.m. per what we're seeing on the model. By 1 o'clock, the worst activity is to the east. We're going to watch for some isolated cells with the heating of the day tomorrow that may crop up. Probably not going to see much in the way of bad weather with that, but just in case, we're going to watch to see if that ends up being something we need to worry about. Now, I mentioned that the hurricane warning has been extended north just to the south of the Atlanta metro area. That means Warner Robins and Macon could have winds gusting 70 to 95 miles per hour, and Atlanta metro area could be seeing winds gusting up to about 70 miles per hour. So if you're going to try to fly into the airport, Hartsfield tomorrow, may not be able to because it'll probably be shut down. Category 4 hurricane right now. That's a new update that just came out. This is new information to me. I haven't seen this yet. Top winds at 130 miles per hour, moving north-northeast to 23. So it will likely make landfall now as a Category 4 hurricane, and still has the possibility of intensifying before it makes landfall. By 2 a.m. Friday morning, top winds at 105 over southwest Georgia, making its way up to Atlanta and then up toward Nashville in Tennessee, where it will still be a tropical storm. Right now, there's the center of circulation showing up on the Tallahassee radar, and as we go through the evening, it will become more well-defined as it gets closer to the site, and you can see the tornado warnings and flash flood warnings that are already ongoing. Tampa, St. Pete area between 60 to 66 mile per hour wind gusts from this system. And here is our radar view. These are all flash flood warnings, flood advisories. Our flood advisory, it looks like, has come to an end here in Wake County, or at least let's see if it goes away. It's still in effect till 8 o'clock because we've seen some heavy rainfall, and we'll probably have flash flood warnings during the day tomorrow. Tonight, there's where the greatest threat for tornadoes will be. This is more toward daybreak tomorrow, and we'll likely have a tornado watch in the morning for a level 2 and 3 threat for tornadoes. So be aware that there will be tornadoes warnings in the morning. You need to be able to have a way to find out if there are tornado warnings in your neighborhood. Have the WRAL News app, and if you have notifications turned on, it will let you know if there are any warnings in your neighborhood. So tonight and tomorrow, WRAL weather alert days, 83. The main focus of severe weather is in the morning, less so in the afternoon. 85 dry on Saturday, 86 a 30% chance for a storm on Sunday. Small chances for storms Monday and Tuesday. And signs are the humidity may drop by Thursday and in the next weekend. We'll see if this time it actually happens.
The next 18 hours are going to be crucial,
yes,
Mike.
they will, Gerald.
All right, thanks.
Category 2 hurricane almost
Yeah,
at Atlanta. That's
I know.
really unheard of. All right, let's send it back to Brian Schrader, who's in the WRAL Live Center. Brian, this is happening, our bad weather today, at a very bad time for people trying to get home from work.
We had some of the heaviest rain pass right through Raleigh in the heart of the evening commute. We saw some big delays. I do want to take you up to 85 at Falls Lake. That earlier cell that had been tornado warned, of course, that has expired, but some of that heavy rain just moved through that area, and you can see how much rain has fallen out there. A nasty commute between Butner and Durham right now. Let's take you to the traffic map. If you're listening to us on Mix 101.5, probably still stuck in some pretty heavy traffic on I-40 between the airport into West Raleigh. Also in South Raleigh, we're still picking up some pretty heavy delays there on 40 eastbound, especially heading back from Cary toward the south side of Raleigh. This is that camera at I-40 at Wade Avenue, and you can see still seeing some heavy backups there as you come in from Harrison Avenue. Now let's talk about what's going on in the air. We've been watching flights heading in and out of RDU as that cell passed not too far from the airport. Good news, just check with RDU, and we're not seeing any big delays right now for arrivals or departures. All of the action has been out of Tampa, where the airport closed earlier today. A lot of flights canceled out of Tampa. Now let's talk about tomorrow. A lot of schools in our area are already canceling classes for tomorrow or switching to other learning methods. I want to show you that map right now. Earlier we told you that Durham Public Schools would be closed tomorrow. Also Chatham and Orange County Schools schools, they're going to be closed. Lee County, Moore County. Person County Schools is going to be on asynchronous learning, as is Hope County. And in Cumberland County, they're going to have remote learning tomorrow. Also want to mention Edgecombe County Schools will be closed tomorrow. That's the list so far. But as we hear Mike talk about the kind of conditions that we could see for Friday, wouldn't be surprised if more schools got added to that list.
Yeah, I feel like we're just getting started in all of this. Thank you, Brian.
I want to go to Aaron Thomas. He's in the WRAL Storm Tracker in the North Raleigh area. Aaron, what are you seeing right now?
Yeah, so at this point, Gerald, we're just seeing a lot of just steady, light rain, but definitely we've had our fair share of heavy conditions. Right now, we're currently in North Raleigh off of Six Forks Road and Strickland Road. You know, initially we had the reports of the tornado warning. We had heard of some rotation in this area, but we checked it out. Everything appears to be just okay. We also had the storm tracker over in Johnson County. We drove that I-40 corridor, dealt with a lot of heavy rains at the point there was low visibility and a lot of hazard lights on the road. And to be clear, a lot of this rainfall is in advance of Hurricane Helene, but definitely causing an issue on some roadways. It's fine here on Six Forks Road, but as we were coming back from Johnson County, we did see a lot of traffic on the I-40 eastbound road. So just, of course, be mindful that a lot of the areas are under a flood watch until tomorrow. We'll be driving around, watching for trouble spots, as well as checking in with emergency officials of what they have for their residents. Back to you.
All right, Aaron, thank you.